The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Step outside of your comfort zone. See the world with a whole new perspective. Join us and experience the unexplained on the Paranormal View.
And welcome everybody right here to the Paranormal View on the ParaX Radio Network. I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight, those listening in the chat room and those listening from around the world. We appreciate each and every one of you. Tonight, if you do have questions from our guest, you can private chat them to either Ceiling Cat or H. Foister, and we will get those answered for you. If you are listening from somewhere else around the world and you'd like to come join everybody here, it's at the ParaX Radio Network, and just click on the Chat Now button and follow instructions. You'll be in with all these wonderful people. If you do have questions and you're not in the chat room, but you don't want to come to the chat room, you can send a question to the paranormalview@gmail.com, and we will take care of that for you. Tonight, we got a great guest with us tonight, and we got Barbara with us.
Hello, everybody.
And Jeff hopefully will be with us soon, because he was having problems with his connection. So as soon as he gets on, hopefully we'll get him in here too. With that, because our guest has been on many times with us, and everybody loves the guest, and we'll probably have a lot of questions, I'm going to let Barbara go ahead and introduce her.
Well, tonight is a very popular returning guest, Pamala Oslie. Pamela is, well, she's an author first, a medium, consultant, radio show host, aura expert. Pam has appeared on all the major networks, including the Dr. Oz Show, The View, The Ricky Lake Show, Coast to Coast with George Noory, Hallmark's Better TV, Gaiam TV with Lisa Garr. Pam has written 4 successful and very popular books: Life Colors, Love Colors, Infinite You, and Make Your Dreams Come True, and has very extensive clientele, including many celebrities. Pam has spoken at the TED Talks in 2012, International Forum on New Science, Fortune 500 companies, many seminars for professionals in psychology, education, health fields, and many more. But also, Pam is the founder of www.auracolors.com, a site designed to help you create success, joy, and fulfillment in every area of your life. She also developed www.lovecolors.com. And this site is designed to help you find love and friendships by matching you with people who have compatible aura colors. Welcome, Pamala Oslie.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. That sounded like a lot of work that I did. Can I retire now?
Yeah, I was going to say, are you tired?
That made me tired. No, I'm good. Hey, it's gorgeous out today, so everything's fine.
Yes.
And we are very privileged to be able to have you on the show again. We love having you on because everybody just flocks in and wants to learn all about aura colors and anything that they can find out. And you do have the one with love colors, so people can find out what their love life is like. So a lot of people probably doesn't know what aura colors are. So how do you know what your aura color is?
Well, first of all, hopefully people know that, I'm sure your audience knows what an aura is, that electromagnetic or energy field that radiates off of them. And I like to explain that a lot of people see the aura differently than I do. I've met a lot of people that see exactly what I do, the same colors. Other people see differently. It doesn't mean somebody's wrong and somebody else is right. It's that we're having a different experience, just like we taste food differently. So the way that I see the aura is I see lots of different layered bands out from people. There's one or two bands that completely encircle the body that are closest to the body. And when I talk about aura colors, that's usually what I refer to, because that shows me a person's life purpose, their theme, their personality type, how they are in relationship, what they are going to prefer in a career, potential health issues, how they handle money. Everything's basically revealed in those one or two colors that are closest to the body, similar to astrology, numerology, iridology, palmistry. It's like they're clues that we came here with in case we got to the planet. Can't imagine this one. We get to the planet and forgot why we came here. all those secrets, that information is revealed in our energy field. So the way that people can find out what their colors are, in my system anyway, and again, a lot of other people see the same things, is, first of all, I have a website and 2 books that have a free quiz in it. They can go and take the free quiz and discover what their colors are, and then I've got videos and written information and e-courses. I've got all kinds of free stuff on the site so people can go learn what those colors mean.
All right.
And I just put the link to the questionnaire in the chat room. So, folks, if you want to go in there, it takes about 10 minutes, roughly, to go through the questionnaire. And then it automatically shows you the colors.
And the website is auracolors.com, A-U-R-A colors, C-O-L-O-R-S.com. It's right there on the front. People just click on it and start taking it. And a quick way to do it, if you don't want to take 10 minutes, is look at the whole list of each color. And if you go, this doesn't describe me at all, just click next and go to the next color. And keep going until you go, oh, this list sounds a lot like me. So, and then just start answering the questions there. For those of you that like to just jump to the chase and not actually have to go through the whole process. And then people can go and they can watch the videos or learn about all the different aura colors. I see 14 different colors. So they can go and watch all the different videos and go, oh, my gosh, that's my husband, or oh, that's my kid, or oh, my gosh, that's my parents, my coworker. Once you start learning about the different aura color personalities, it's really easy to identify what other people are. And the reason I do this, you guys, is not to box people in, not to categorize them and limit people, because I'm one of those people that doesn't like to be boxed in. I like my freedom. But understanding your aura colors basically validates you, and it gives you permission to be who you really are. So many people are unhappy and suppressed because they think who they really are is not possible, or people won't like them, or their parents told them they couldn't do that. So this validates what you've been feeling about yourself probably your whole life, and it helps us understand other people so that we don't think that other people are supposed to be like us. They can be themselves, and it helps with our relationships and work and everything. It just helps us get along better.
Wow. Excuse me. Once somebody finds out what their aura colors are, can you change your aura color?
That's a really good question. First of all, because I'm all about freedom and free will, I would never, ever, ever tell somebody that they couldn't change their aura colors, because I believe anything's possible. And having said that, after doing this for 34 years, almost 35 years, and I'm only 25 years old, so no, it's like, so what I've noticed is the one or two bands that are closest to the body, the life colors, reveal what somebody has chosen to do when they came here. And so it's kind of like their astrology sign. It's not like they don't usually change their astrology sign, but usually I don't see people changing their one or two life colors. Now, the bands in the outer band of the aura, the colors that are in the outer bands, those change all the time according to what's going on with the person at the time. So, for example, if somebody gets really angry, a lot of red shows up in the outer bands, but as soon as that anger passes, the red fades away. I've seen people on vacation. They're having a good time. They're being playful. They're laughing a lot. A lot of yellow shows up in the outer bands because that, in my system, that's a very childlike, playful, to have a good time. So when people are on vacation, I see a lot of yellow in the outer bands. That doesn't always stick once they go back to work. So the outer bands, or if somebody's really focused on a project or trying to make money, they add different colors in the outer bands that they don't usually stick. Now, having said that, I have noticed that there are people out there that were raised to think it's not okay to be who they are. And I see this a lot with people that have yellow and violet in their auras, especially yellow-violet guys. Because violets are dreamers and visionaries, and they've got these big ideas and these big plans, and they want freedom, and they want to do their own projects, or they want to travel the world, or they want to save the planet. And they've been raised to think that's an unrealistic dream. That violets get accused of that a lot, and they're told they should be tans or green instead, and tans are practical, logical, grounded, analytical. Greens are all about making money and type A personalities and driven. So I've seen a lot of people add colors into their outer bands, which actually suppresses their original aura colors. And then the person just doesn't quite feel happy. They don't feel free. They don't feel validated. They feel unfulfilled. So those colors have been added on. Those colors actually need to change so that the person feels free to be who they really are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, in astrology, what happens, we do what was called a progress chart, in which your sun sign and your planets progress around the horoscope as you get older. And it's an aging thing because you're here to learn and to grow. So I'm wondering does the aura colors, is it possible for them to change as we go through life lessons?
Well, I believe anything's possible. So that's, but okay. So if somebody like I have I don't know much about astrology, Barbara. So thanks for sharing this with me. Since I have a Sagittarius sun sign, is that going to change throughout life? I mean, do I change to another sign, or do I always stay Sagittarian?
You're always a Sagittarian, but later you go through, and as you got to a certain age, you started thinking more Capricorn thoughts or learning Capricorn lessons. And then you go to Aquarius and you'll start to learn more Aquarian lessons. You're probably at about the Aquarian lesson level.
Cool. That's cool. With the aura colors, what I've seen, I see them as in power and out of power, meaning I use the words in power instead of positive and out of power instead of negative. So people can strengthen and live their full potential with their aura colors. So, for example, Henry's got a lot of yellow in his aura, and yellows are the fun-loving, free-spirited, spunky little kids that like to laugh and like to play, and they like spontaneity. They've got a little stubborn streak to them. They're pleasers, but they don't like being told what to do. But in power, yellows are very healthy and vibrant. They never age. They're big kids at heart. They typically don't look their age unless they start doing things that are unhappy or unhealthy, which is the downside. I'll talk about that. So yellows are full of energy and life and enthusiasm and optimism, and they're like the little Energizer bunnies. They just go and go and go and go and go when they're in power, and they usually stay healthy. They connect with nature because yellows really have to connect with nature to be happy. They love dogs. They love exercising. That's the positive side of yellow, and they've got all kinds of creative ideas. They either do healing work, which Henry's got some. You know, he can like dowsing or energy work. Healers, they're healers. So when they're in power, they're really kinesthetic with their bodies. They've got healing hands, healing bodies, healing hugs. Or they do creative projects. So they're writers or musicians or artists or designers, something where they've got creativity to them. Or they do physical work, like they're yoga instructors or they're construction workers or lumberjack. They do something physical with their physical bodies, or river rafters, surfers, lifeguards, things like that. Now that's in power. So as a person progresses, they can get more and more balanced, more and more healthy or healthier and happier with their original aura color. When they're out of power, meaning the downside. Well, I'm sure with the astrological signs, too, there's a positive side to the personality and a downside.
Very much.
So the downside of a yellow, for example, is they can procrastinate. If they had their way, wouldn't be working at all. They can get kind of lazy, complacent, kind of like, they don't like conflict. So if something's going on, they want to run or they want to hide from it, they want to leave, or they get into addictions. If they're not happy and they don't know how to solve something, they'll either do things like drugs or alcohol or cigarettes or caffeine or chocolate or sweets or overeating or watch too much TV. Yellows can be very addictive personalities. On the positive side, they're addicted to nature, fresh air, exercise. On the downside, they get into those less than healthy addictions. And so that's I guess you could say they're going backwards or not living their full potential. Let's put it that way. So it's a little different with the astrology signs then, because I don't see a progressive. Now, I have seen this, though, Barbara. I have seen a handful of people that when they really feel like they've lived the life purpose that they came here to do with their original colors. For example, yellows are here to bring joy to the planet, to have fun, to show people that life is about enjoying it, and they're here to help others heal, or the planet heal, or animals heal, but they're healers. So if they feel like they've done that, they've fulfilled it, they're complete with it, then I've seen some of those people add or shift into another additional color to start layering that. So I guess that's a little similar. It's just not planned out. Just depends on if the person's in power, out of power.
Oh, that's interesting. So
I didn't know that astrological signs did that, Barbara, so thank you. And how do you know which age or which phase you're in? Is it over
it progresses,
7 years? Or?
It progresses like one day per year for a sun sign.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on where you are, in your, depends on what day you're born. If you're born in the middle of Sagittarius, then it takes it a shorter period of time to get through. So it's 1 day per year. That's how fast.
1 day per year?
For your sun
1 day per year. For your sun sign. Wow.
Sort of like being born on, it's almost like being born on leap day.
Jeff, you're still breaking up.
There's Jeffrey back on that spaceship again.
Oh, man.
But you sound really cute, Jeffrey. We just can't understand you. You're speaking a ET language.
Great.
Can you hear us okay, though?
I can hear you guys perfectly when the connection doesn't get lost.
Okay.
Now we can hear you. Just talk really fast.
Really.
All right.
I was going to say,
just talk slow.
1 day a year.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what did you say? What?
Which
You
is
guys are so cute.
Yeah, yours is real bad, Jeff.
faster, slow. Yeah.
I guess you get a listen, huh?
Yeah, Jeffrey, do you know sign language? Just sign for us.
Or
That's good for radio.
or take and type us a message and we'll get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 day a year for the sun.
There you go.
The other planets take different times.
Okay, cool. I'll have to read up on that more. That's really fascinating.
But I love the idea that the fulfillment of a life purpose means you can maybe work on the next life purpose.
Yeah, I've seen a few people like over the years. I've seen them, like 10, 20 years later, and I go, wow, you've added another life color to your aura, and they go, I know, I feel really different. My whole life changed. Now that doesn't mean that if somebody feels like, well, when I was younger I was one way, but now that I'm older I'm another way. They could just be shifting, because most people have two life colors. So let's say they're a blue and a yellow, or a blue and a violet. They may start out the first part of their life really focused on their blue, and then all of a sudden all that violet energy starts kicking in, and they go, wow, I feel like a different person. I feel stronger, whatever. And I go, yeah, well, you just shifted into your second color. So I have seen that happen. But more likely people don't feel validated in their original colors, and so they're really working on trying to get rid of or dig out from the color that they've been trained or suppressed or told by authority figures they have to be, and then the person's working on seeing if they can become either their authentic self, or they know what their colors are, they know who they are, and they're focused on fulfilling their full potential with those colors. That's more likely what I've seen, especially with you violets. Violets are here to help save the planet, to shift the consciousness of the masses, to improve the quality of life here for people, to get them to think bigger, open up doors and windows, really evolve the consciousness. And a lot of violets at the beginning, there's either challenges or there's, they've been born with original trauma, their family life wasn't right, or they had to overcome the ordinary thinking that's on the planet. And the more they start listening to their intuition, their own inner voice, their own inner guidance, and they start believing it more and start accepting it and start acting on it, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then they feel like they're actually fulfilling their original purpose for coming to the planet.
Now, if somebody wants to find out what their aura colors are, they can go to your site and take a quick test, and it'll tell them. And you can send us a message as to what your colors are, and Pam can tell us what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can describe each of the little color. I can describe briefly each one of the aura colors. So if people go, well, I can't get online right now, I can't take the quiz, but I want to know, if you want, I can describe some of the basic personalities of the different aura colors. Or we can chat about ETs and listen to Jeffrey more.
I think a really brief description of each color would be good.
Yes, okay. And you'd be surprised how many colors there are. I've got let's see, it goes down from A through N.
Well, I see 14 different aura colors, and most people have a combination. So just briefly, you tell me when we have to take a break too, you guys, okay? Because I just stay real focused with you, and I lose track of time sometimes. So for simplicity, I categorize the 14 different aura colors into 3 different families. So first of all, there are the physical colors, and those are the people that process life predominantly through their physical bodies, through touch, through nature, through physical. And those are red, orange, magenta, and yellow, and I'll come back and give you a brief description of each one of those. Then there are the mental colors, and those people process life or reality predominantly through logic, analyzing. Those are 4 different kinds of tans and green: logical tan, sensitive tan, abstract tan, environmental tan, which I'll just lump the tans together because they're pretty similar, and then greens. And then there are the spiritual emotional colors. And those are the colors that predominantly, because we've all got bodies, we've all got minds, we've all got feelings, but these colors predominantly process life through their intuition, their emotions, something internally. So those are blue, violet, indigo, crystal, and lavender. And so the physical colors, reds, you probably don't have a lot of reds listening to this, because reds and oranges don't usually believe in this kind of stuff. So reds are more about really being a physical being on this planet in this lifetime. And by the way, there are no good or bad colors. It's just a soul's desire for a different experience. In other lifetimes, a red in this lifetime could have been an indigo in another lifetime, or a blue, or a tan. And in this lifetime, they've chosen to be a red to have the experience. So reds, let's see, Madonna's a red, Lady Gaga, Russell Crowe, Sean Penn, very physical, very much about sensuality, physical being. They love eat, sex, move physical reality. I see them a lot either being dancers or butchers or truck drivers, farmers, something where they can use their bodies to the fullest. So, and yes, reds do often have tempers. we use the colors in our language for a reason, you guys. So we've heard red with passion, red with anger, red with rage. That describes a red. They have a lot of passion and they can get very angry. So see, somehow people back then were seeing aura colors. Then we've got the oranges. Oranges are daredevils. Now, I'm not talking about the orange monks, the robes that the monks wear. where that's more of a spiritual color for them. But orange aura color, they're the daredevils on the planet. Evel Knievel, Jackie Chan, they're skydivers, race car drivers, stunt people, extreme sports, rescue workers. They love the physical adrenaline of putting their lives on the line. You can see how most of us are like, yeah, no, that's not me. Even though yellows like physical, they'll go skiing or jump out of airplanes. Yellows don't like to be hurt, and oranges don't care. Yellows are like, nah, that's not, I don't want to break a bone. But if you see people like Jackie Chan, Evel Knievel, it didn't matter if they broke bones. They just kept going. So oranges typically are not listening to shows like this because they're out jumping out planes or climbing up Mount Everest or, doing taming lions. I don't know, really dangerous things. Then we have the magentas, and the magentas are, let's put it this way, it's about physical reality, but they like to take it and twist it and make it like bizarre and outrageous. They kind of like to shock people. So Andy Warhol, Auntie Mame, Kramer on Seinfeld played a magenta. So I don't usually see magentas except for in places like San Francisco or something like that. They tend to be outrageous. So magentas, I see them in big cities. San Francisco, New York, someplace where they can hide out. They love to shock people, but it's still about physical reality. I know that it was the magentas that came up with the mohawks and all the body tattoos and the piercings. Now everybody's doing it, but that was a magenta's way of shocking people. And then we've got yellows, and we got some yellows with you guys. Yellows are, like I said before, they're they're physical. But they're playful, big kids, sense of humor. And we've discussed the yellows already. God, there's a lot of comedians are yellows. A lot of athletes. Again, they either do creative work, healing work, or physical work. Most yellows would prefer not to work at all unless it was fun or they were healing people. They need to be able to enjoy what they're doing. They have fun and they laugh. So if you want to know if you got a yellow on your hands, they tend to laugh a lot. Or they're very addictive personalities, so that's a way to identify them. Really quick, yellows, you yellows know how to heal your own bodies. Usually you can live the longest as long as you're staying, happy. But a yellow's weak spot are their backs, legs, knees, feet, things like that, structural. They're also the first ones to get diabetes because that's a lack of sweetness, a lack of fun, or they can get prostate or liver issues. Those are a yellow sweet. Each one of the aura colors has health things that they have weak spots with. So those are the physical colors, and then the mental colors, just briefly. Tans are the practical, analytical, security conscious. They're typically employees. They like the security of a paycheck. They are the ones that have the patience to take care of the details. We need tans because you see how fast I'm talking? That's because some of you guys out there have violet in your, and then I got to talk 100 miles an hour because tans do this. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4. They like the logic, the data. They have to be able to lay a firm foundation. Otherwise, they're afraid everything will fall apart. Tans don't typically like change. Tans are more logical or practical where they go, wait, is there scientific proof for this stuff? Wait a second. So in power, they're very patient, and they'll eventually work through it. Like they're computer programmers, they're engineers, they're bookkeepers. They're the people that have the patience to take care of the details of the projects that somebody else has envisioned. The downside of tans is they can get very stuck and judgmental and critical about that's not possible because they do 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, and getting them to step over to 11, 12, they're like, what do you mean 11, what, that should be 10-1, not 11, where did 11 come from? So if you're with a tans don't usually like change. They don't even like it if you change the living room furniture around. And they can tend to be a little cautious with money, too. They're very conservative. They want safe, secure things. Greens are also in the, and there's little variations with the tans, by the way. They've each got a little bit different, like a sensitive tan is a combination of a tan and blue, so they're a little bit more intuitive with that blue, but also logical. So anyway, greens. Greens are the type A workaholics on the planet. They process like this: 1, 2, oh, I got it, 10. Let's go. Come on. They like to write lists. They go back and they check off what they've done on the list. I see them typically as CEOs, business people. They sell real estate. They're car salesmen, jewelry salesmen, anything that can make them a lot of money. They also love to learn. They really like to accomplish. They're the most driven, besides violets, of all the aura colors. In power, they're organized, efficient. Boy, if I ever want something done, I give it to a green. They will get it done, and they'll get it done really fast. Everything will be organized, efficient. The downside of greens, and greens create jobs for other people, so they're usually the business runners, the managers and the CEOs. If the downside of greens, the negative side is, boy, you will never win an argument with a green. They are always right. And they will argue, and they can get judgmental, critical, bossy. They're not that pleasant to be around when they're out of power. So there's different ways for each of the colors to get from out of power, in power, or from the negative qualities into the positive. So if you have any of those questions, we can talk about that. But you understand about greens, right? They're the first ones to get tight neck and shoulders, digestive issues, because they worry a lot, they stress a lot. And they're the first ones to get heart attacks. So let's see, who are greens? Bill Gates is a green violet. Mark Zuckerberg is green. Dick Cheney's green. Our current president is green with yellow. And David Letterman was green and yellow. Barbara Walters is green. You see how it's very common for greens to have heart issues.
So would you think that Elon Musk is also a green?
Elon Musk is actually got some violet and yellow in there. That pot smoking part of him, that's a yellow. Okay. When I get to violets and greens can have similar qualities when they're out of power, but they have a different mission here. Greens like to learn and accomplish and get up that corporate ladder and make a lot of money. It's very important for greens to accomplish and make money. Violets, I'm going to jump over to violets just briefly, and then we'll come back to violets more. Violets also want to make a lot of money. Violets are the visionaries on the planet. They come from the third eye. This is the spiritual emotional family now. Violets, like I told you, are here to make a difference on the planet, so they're the visionaries. Steve Jobs was a violet yellow. The Beatles were all violet yellow. Oprah is a violet yellow. Violets are humanitarians. When violets have a lot of money, they want money for freedom and then to make a difference. They want to, they're the charitable people. And violets love to travel. Greens are typically found in their offices all the time. Bankers, things like that. But violets, we're jumping to violets already. Violets, I see them because they're communicators, they're leaders, they're visionaries, they're teachers. So I see a lot of them either getting involved in the media or the arts. They're writers, musicians, actors, anything that's, they're newscasters, they're performers, anything where they can use the arts or the media to get messages out. And we're in a violet age right now, so a lot of violets are feeling pushed or pulled or nudged or, to do something. All violets are going, I know there's something more I'm supposed to be doing, but violets get accused of being unrealistic dreamers because the things they want to do are so big. So where a green will go 1, 2, 10, a violet goes 150. I see and sense 50. I don't know how to get there, but I know I'm supposed to do it. The other things violets get involved in are teaching or psychology or ministry, because they're usually spiritual teachers too, or they get involved in causes, including global causes, or they get involved in politics and law. And violet is the power feminine. Green is more the male power. Violet is the goddess Diana. So all the Me Too movement, all the women rising up, all the voices rising up right now, that's all violet energy coming up. We're in a violet age right now, and oddly enough, the violet age started in the mid-'60s. The hippies, the Beatles, the peace movement, global peace, that's all violet energy. And by the way, the greens didn't like that. Greens are like, no, you don't get to do that on my planet. I'm in charge. I'm in control. So anyway, violets, and again, violets like to travel because they came here to save the planet. Typically, they need to see the planet they're here to save. Now, blues in the spiritual emotional family, blues are the big loves. Blues' life purpose is all about love and spirituality. Every blue saw and spoke to God. They knew there was a higher power ever since they were little. Violets do too, but blues, it's all about being in service. Blues love. Blues, when they're young, they're dreaming about their Prince Charming or getting married, having a family. It's all about home. They're typically teachers, counselors, and nurses. They're the most loyal, loving, giving souls on the planet. So much so they can give so much that they can be doormats. They have a hard time saying no. Where violets and greens, all the other colors, yellows are pleasers too. They have a hard time saying no because they want people to like them and they don't want to hurt anyone. Blues are similar. They feel guilty saying no because they're rescuers. So, and one of the telltale signs of a blue is they are the most emotional color on the planet. Blues can watch commercials and cry. They cry when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're angry. I can have a room full. I can do a workshop, and if one blue in the room starts to cry, all the rest of the blues start crying. It's really cute, but they got big hearts. Blues come from the heart. So again, they're givers. The issue with blues is when they're in power, they're unconditionally loving. They will just, matter of fact, they'll stay in a relationship way past when everyone goes, what are you doing with that person? You got to get out of there. Blues they just want to, they got the Cinderella complex a lot. When blues are out of power, the downside of blues, they can get into victimhood, martyrdom, self-pity, everything I've done for you, and this is what you did. Blues can get a little whiny, and then they can use guilt to manipulate people, so blues have to watch out for that. Violets, when they're out of power, they either get into drama. They're the most dramatic, intense people on the planet because, boy, they can tell you a story about the traumas that they've had, which is why so many of them become performers, or the downside of violets. So violets can either get very dramatic. They can get, just like greens, they can get judgmental, dictatorial, holier than thou, bossy, critical of other people, impatient with people, because violets don't understand. They see things. Violets come from the third eye. Violets see things, and they don't understand why other people don't see what they see. Like, look, you guys, can't you see that if we keep doing this to the planet, this is what's going to happen? What's wrong with you guys? So violets can get a little frustrated with humanity because they have higher beliefs or higher standards for humanity. But violets can also get really scattered when they're out of power. So there's like 20 things they want to do, or they don't know which way to go next. So that's the downside of a violet. Do we have time to do the indigos, crystals, and lavenders, or do you need to take a break?
You can go ahead and keep on going. Then we'll take a break. How does that sound?
Okay.
Is your voice going to be able to handle it? Do you need to take a...
I see 6 to 8 clients a day, and I talk all day long, and I have my radio show, so I am so used to talking. Anyway, so indigos are the new children, the new age children, the psychic children. I know a lot of people have different names for it, the rainbow children, but there's crystals, indigos, lavenders, but indigos tend to be very androgynous. Violets are here to lead us into a new way of seeing life. They're here to change how we're doing things. Indigos are the ones that are showing us how to live that. They're supposed to be demonstrating it. So indigos tend to be androgynous. You can't tell sometimes if they're male or female, gay or straight, and in Michael Jackson's case, black or white. It's about soul to soul. They bond with people soul to soul. They're psychic. They can communicate with nature. They love children. It's really interesting, you guys, what I'm seeing with indigos. A lot of them are being diagnosed as autistic because indigos won't talk unless they have something to say. You can't control them with guilt, pressure, manipulation, punishment. Indigos have a really high spiritual standard when they're in power, and they'll only do what they believe is the right thing, and it's bothering them what they're seeing going on the planet right now. And all the LGBT, all those issues that are up right now that are in the forefront, those are all indigo energies. So we're moving into the indigo age as we speak. And so all the indigo issues, all the, the male-female, gay-straight, androgynous, all those issues are coming to the surface, just like in the 60s, all the violets beliefs and issues and purposes came to the surface. Get out of Vietnam and music and global and free sex. I mean, that's all violet energy. Indigo is completely different. So Michael Jackson was indigo with violet. I don't see a lot of indigo famous people right now. I see a lot of indigos that are really starting to show up on the planet right now. So, and a lot of people, especially violets, are starting to identify with the indigos, and they're adding indigo into the outer bands. So they're relating to the indigo belief system and consciousness and purpose for being here. So that's an indigo. Crystals are very unusual. They literally, guys, have a clear aura. And they're like a chameleon. Now, when they're in power, their aura stays clear, and they're really amazing healers. But they can usually only heal one person at a time. They do energy work. But they can't be around a lot of people. Now, a lot of sensitive yellows, because yellows can either be life of the party or they can be really shy and introverted. So crystals, a lot of sensitive yellows think they're crystals, but crystals are like auric chameleons. When they're in power, they're great healers, but then they have to go spend a lot of time alone and in meditation. They can't be around crowds, can't be around a lot of people. It blows out their systems. They need to meditate a lot. I see them working in places like libraries or doctor's offices where it's really quiet and serene. I see them maybe playing quiet music in a string quartet or something. But crystals are odd in that when they're around other people, if they're not centered, meaning the downside, they start absorbing the colors of the other aura colors around them, and then they start acting that way, and they turn into that. So if they're hanging out with the blue, their aura actually turns blue, and they start acting like a blue. And then if they start hanging out with the green, their aura turns green, and they start acting like a green. So out of power, they can be very draining to be around. They literally start absorbing other people's auras. But they're very sensitive, kind, meditative, quiet energy workers and healers. Now, the last one, the lavenders. And I don't see that many crystals or lavenders, by the way. Of course, I might have seen some crystals and didn't know it because they're walking around like a violet or something, and I didn't realize they were a crystal who'd learned how to do violet. Lavenders are the fairy tale, fantasy. They're creative. They tend to not spend a lot of time in their bodies. They're daydreamers. They're here to go into other realms and go into, so that we understand. They bring back fantasies. They are supposed to be artists and writers. Lewis Carroll had lavender in his aura, so Alice in Wonderland, and C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia. They're very creative. Like, they're very childlike too, but they tend to be wispy, and sometimes you can look at a lavender and you feel like nobody's home. They're not very good at staying in physical reality. They're not very good at making a living. Yellows are like that too, though. Yellows are not real good with money because yellows are very spontaneous. They get money and it kind of disintegrates in their hands because they don't care about money. They want to be fun and spontaneous and generous and give it to friends. Lavenders, they don't relate to money or working hard. They're better if they can be taken care of or trust fund babies, but they're very whimsical and fantasy-oriented, so I see a lot of lavenders talking about angels and fairies, and most of the time that I've seen a lavender, there's been a combination. So it's either a violet lavender or a blue lavender or a yellow lavender, so at least that other aura color with them helps them get something done here. So a lot of lavenders are so fantasy-oriented, they don't stay in their bodies long enough to make money or deal with physical reality. So those are the colors.
All right. Now, I've already got a bunch of people that's already sent stuff to me of what their colors are. So we'll do all that when we come back from a break. How's that sound? Barbara, you got anything to add before we go to break?
No, let's take that break.
All right, then. You want to, Jeff, can you talk yet?
I don't know.
No, you still can't.
Am I able to do a full sentence audibly? No.
Try it.
You can try it if you want. He's going go ahead.
Apparently not. Folks, you are listening to the Paranormal View here on Para X Radio with our very, very, very special guest, Pamala Oslie. We will be right back after a few messages.
Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal, Para X.
And welcome back, everybody, right here to the Paranormal View on the Para X Radio Network. I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. Got a great guest, and we have with us Barbara Duncan.
I'm still here.
And Jeff, are you still with us?
In theory.
Okay. All right. And I'm sure we got listeners from around the world. Barbara, where do we have listeners from?
They're coming in from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, unknown, and Israel just popped in.
Wow. All right. So we're getting out everywhere. And want to welcome back our special guest, Pam Oslie.
I'm here.
All right.
Hello. Thanks for bringing me back in. Like, we got to get her out of here. She just talks way too much.
No. That's what we'd rather have somebody do anyway. But I do have lots of people that's sent in what their colors are.
But first of all, I get to say this.
Okay, go ahead.
Sagittarians do that.
What's your colors, Barbara?
I'm a yellow, blue, and Pamela's saying violet. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Barbara, violets are here. You know, they're natural therapists and visionaries, and they're here to help improve the quality of life for people. And you violets can read people. You know, I mean, you can meet somebody and go, oh, man, this person's got issues, or, oh, they're not being honest, and you do have that ability, Barbara. I can feel it with you.
Yeah, I do. She's reading me like a book. She's reading me like a book.
Oh, I haven't even gotten started with you yet. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Don't worry, we won't do that on the air. Don't worry. No, you got great energy. It's very common for you violets to see how much you can get done in one lifetime. And sometimes no matter what, you always feel like there's still more to do. I always feel like there's still more to do.
I can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, Nyla sent one to me, and her colors are primary yellow and secondary is lavender.
Oh, so she's a creative person. She's creative and probably very sensitive. If she's got those two colors, and probably, Nyla, probably very misunderstood. Like a lot of people or family or parents or whatever don't understand that you're more sensitive or creative and need more quiet time or more time to do your gifts. And then sometimes those two colors can have a hard time manifesting their creative abilities to a point where they can monetize them so they can make a living at it. So those two colors are very sensitive but also very creative.
Okay. Let's see.
Did she write back to you and say if that makes sense to her, or we got to go through the list here?
No, it makes sense because I know.
I do have a really good question, though, somebody asked earlier, and that was with the event of Kirlian photography, does that match up with aura colors? And can you validate it that way?
Thank you so much for asking that question. Here's the deal. With the aura cameras, because I have clients that own those cameras, they measure the emotional energy that's around a person. So what they do with those cameras is they have you put your hand on a metal plate, and they measure the frequency, the energy that's coming off your hand, and then they take that measurement and they superimpose it over a picture of your face. And so they don't always, or very often pick up the life colors. I have seen a few of them do that, but more often than not, they pick up the emotional energy of the person at that time. And if you were to go back the next day or a week later or even hours later after something's happened, the aura colors will probably change. At least that's been my experience with them, and that's how my clients who have those cameras have explained it. What matters is the definition or the interpretation. So, for example, my life colors are blue and yellow, and I've added violet. When they did my auric picture, it showed up red, orange, and a little bit of yellow. And I went, well, I know I'm not a red and an orange. I absolutely know that. Blues, by the way, come from their heart up. They don't live in their bodies a whole lot, so they end up with cold hands and feet a lot. Anyway, they went, oh, no, it's not your life colors. Red, orange, and yellow means you have a lot of high energy. You've got a lot of creative energy to you. It has nothing to do with your life purpose. Does that make sense?
Total sense. Because I remember when I went to a Whole Life Expo, and they had that aura camera there. And it was just right after I did Reiki, my Reiki attunement. And I was driving over the bridge, and I had a headache, so I was going, I can do Reiki. So I did that and went to, the first thing I do when I walk in there is to go get an aura color photograph. And it ended up with purple over my head. And purple is the color of Reiki. But, okay.
And that is one of your life colors, so that's cool that it showed up. Not always the case, but the fact that you just did some Reiki on yourself means that was really open and very expansive. And by the way, remember centuries ago how they would paint halos around very enlightened masters or spiritual people, teachers? That's their aura. The aura is actually the strongest around the head, from shoulder over the head to the next to the other shoulder. That's usually where the aura is strongest. So when they do the Carillion photography and you saw that violet, which you do have in your aura, that's really cool that it picked it up.
Sweet.
So I don't want people thinking if they get their picture done and it shows a lot of green and red that those are their colors. It just ask the camera operator what those two colors or what those colors mean, so that you go by their system, not the life color system.
Wow.
And so the other question that came up was, once you know your aura colors and start to feel comfortable with it, how is it useful to you to know these colors? And I assume that your aura color books have lots of information on how you can process through and work through those colors.
Tons. First of all, it validates your life purpose here. So, for example, violets don't want to, and yellows especially, don't want to sit behind a desk and do office work unless they're doing a tan yellow, which is an engineer or, something that's, creative technology. So it validates your life purpose so that you can fulfill that instead of just doing a job that maybe you feel stuck in. It also helps with career choices. So career choices so that you're not, like I just said, stuck in a job that's unfulfilling or you've outgrown it, because you violets tend to outgrow things a lot. So there's nothing wrong with you if you feel like you keep outgrowing things. That's a typical violet. You need to keep growing and changing and evolving. But it also helps with relationships. There are certain aura colors that are extremely compatible with each other, especially if they're in power. When the negative side of a color comes out, you're not real compatible with anybody. They can have problems. But when you understand your aura color and know which colors are the most compatible, it makes relationship choices and communication, compatibility way easier. And even if you're married or involved with somebody who doesn't have compatible aura colors with you, you can, by understanding who they really are and who you really are, you can find a way to make that work. So, for example, two of the most incompatible aura colors are yellows and greens. So remember, yellows want to play and laugh and have fun and be spontaneous, and they don't really care that much about money. And then we've got greens that are totally into money and accomplishing and driven and making sure we got some money here and nice things, nice clothes, nice cars. It's like accomplishment. And they're hanging out with a yellow that looks lazy and flaky to them. But if you understand each person's aura colors and their priorities, then a yellow can come up with creative ideas, and a green can then figure out ways to make money off of that, to monetize it. So if you've got a creative musician that's a yellow, green's like, okay, I know how to make money doing that, or we can get somewhere with that, or they can work together instead of, because otherwise a green can be really hard on a yellow. They can judge him and criticize him and beat him up, and then the yellow feels unhappy, because yellows just want people to like them. They want to be your friend. They want you to like them, and they want you to be happy. And so if a green's always critical, then the yellow can start getting unhealthy, depressed, start doing negative addictions. So you see that it helps with relationships. It also helps with health issues, because there's a way for each one of the colors to be happy and healthy. And then there are tools if the color is, if that personality is out of power. So for example, I'm going to use you violets again. When violets are in power, they are allowing and inspiring. They inspire, educate, empower, they motivate, but they say to people, look, this is where I'm going. If you want to go, great, we can do this. If not, you've got your own path to go on. That's totally okay. But when a violet's out of power and they get critical and judgmental and impatient and frustrated with humanity, they're not that pleasant to be around. So, or they can get lost and scattered and not know how to live their life purpose here. So the key for a violet to stay in power is not the same as what a green needs to do or a red needs to do. So number one for a violet is meditation. Violets have to have alone time so they can connect their inner vision with their heart and soul and something greater than them. And when they have that quiet time, that meditation time, then they stay centered, and then they get guidance, and then they know how to accomplish their big dreams and their visions. You cannot tell a yellow to sit still long enough to meditate. They fidget. So what yellows need to do is, number one, connect with nature. That's a yellow's number one way of staying healthy and happy. They balance. They need to exercise. If a yellow doesn't exercise, they get depressed. If a violet doesn't meditate, they get depressed. So if a yellow gets out there and exercises and happy, that's they go hiking, they go walking, they do something physical, bike riding, I don't care. That's actually surfing. That's actually a yellow's form of meditation. That's their way of staying balanced. So do you see there's different ways? Like a green, you can't tell a green to go sit and meditate, whatever. They'll be like, oh, I got things to do. I can't do that. So for a green to get balanced, they need to breathe, because greens don't usually breathe. They're too stressed out and impatient to get things done. Greens need to write lists. They need to figure out what it is they want to accomplish here, come up with a plan on how to do that, and then write a list and take action. As soon as they do that, they're balanced. They're happier. They're easier to be with. Do you see? So once you know what your aura colors are, you know what tools are going to help you stay healthy and balanced so that you're not unhappy and unfulfilled here. And there are even different ways to show you how to manifest money, because each one of the aura colors has a different way of manifesting. Like I said, greens, anything they can write on a list, they can manifest. Violets, anything they can visualize. Anything a violet can visualize, which is why it's good for violets to put up vision boards. Anything a violet can visualize and then align with, they can manifest. Violets can do synchronicity and magic, and holy cow, things just start showing up for them, and people go, you got to do what? You met who? Does that make sense?
Yeah. We have one person in the chat room who seems to, she talks about needing something and then manifests it almost immediately.
Yeah, she's probably got violet then. Violets are the quickest, most powerful manifestors I've ever seen. They're like magic. Where tans are just the opposite. They think, well, you got to be patient, and you got to do the steps, and you don't make money real fast. You have to be cautious with it and invest it wisely. So tans are even frustrated when I talk this fast. They go, well, I don't know what you're saying. Slow down. I can't take notes that fast. So they all have a different way of manifesting. Yellows can manifest anything they can get the physical feeling of. So since yellows are not really good with money typically, because they don't care about it that much, I tell yellows, imagine, or get money and feel it in your hands. Or you want a new car? Go sit in the new car and go feel it. Go see what it feels like. Notice, get it in your body. That's how they manifest.
Wow. Now,
So I guess your next book, Pam, is going to be Aura Colors and Health.
All of that stuff's in my books. I've got Life Colors, which is all of it. How to find out your colors, how to stay empower, careers that are going to be fulfilling, who you're compatible with, and then my book Love Colors is all about relationships.
Okay.
How to stay in power, what your needs are, how to stay balanced in that, how to get along with each one of the colors, how to negotiate. It's like that whole book is about relationships.
Now, Jeff said that he is yellow and his secondary is a logical tan.
Okay. That makes sense. Yellow tans, they can be, like I said, computer programmers or engineers or creative designers. As long as the yellow gets to do something creative or healing, and then the tan gets to stay safe and practical and logical and figure out the steps and be patient with it. And the yellow has to go out there and make sure they connect with nature and exercise, or at least connect with nature and quiet, something where they're outdoors. And then the tans need to feel secure financially. So if they're working and the tan's making a living, they've got a paycheck coming in, they feel like they've got some foundation there, then they're fine. They'll let the yellow go play or be creative. But if the yellow's playing all the time and blowing it, because yellows can not always hold down jobs. People yell at yellows a lot. When are you going to grow up? When are you going to get a real job? And yellows like variety. They don't want to grow up and they don't want to do a real job unless it's fun or it's healing people or it's creative. So yellows, if they're not making money, they've got to let their tan side help them be grounded and practical so there's balance. So when you have two different aura colors, both sides need to win. You need to help both sides be fulfilled. That's why it's important to know what your two colors are so that they can create a happy marriage together within you and they're not fighting. Like blue yellows. Blues want love and relationship, and they want to connect emotionally with their partner. Yellows want their freedom. They want someone they can have fun with and be playful with and have some free time. And yellows can actually, now, Henry, I'm not talking about you because you got some of that tan in your aura. I know you've made commitments. Because yellows like freedom, and they want playmates. They want fun, and they want to go out, be able to have some time to themselves. So it's very common for a blue-yellow person, usually females, by the way. Blue is typically a female color unless it's been a gay male, and I haven't seen everybody on the planet, but that's been my. And if there's a male out there that goes, well, I feel like a blue, but I'm not gay, then you're probably a yellow tan or a yellow violet combo because they're very similar. Anyway, so blue-yellow females, very common for them to pick guys or partners that are either not available, they either live a long ways away, or they're married, or the partner has a fear of commitment, because then the blue can be in love with somebody and the yellow doesn't have to commit. So blue, yellows, and blues want to stay forever, and a yellow goes, oh, this isn't fun anymore, I want out of here, and they bail. So there's a way to balance those two out so that both sides can be happy so you can have a long-term relationship. Otherwise, it's very common for blue yellows to go through relationship after relationship after relationship, always trying to figure out why they can't get one that lasts.
Wow.
You see how this information can be helpful for a person, right?
Got another one from the chat room. Rimney said theirs is logical tan and blue.
Logical tan and blue. Now, that is an interesting combination. So what I'm going to say is, because that's not a common combination, it's possible. So both those colors want security. Blues are more emotional. They live from their hearts. They want to help people. Tans are very practical, grounded. They want security. Blues are emotional. Tans don't usually express their emotions. They can keep things in. If you can get a tan to talk about how they feel, they talk about how they think they feel. But a blue tan can be a little bit more reserved, very loving, very kind, but more in the background. If the person, now this is what I'm going to say, if they're really a blue tan, not another combination like a blue yellow who has been raised to think they're supposed to be a tan, so they've learned how to be quiet and be responsible and make a living and be grounded, but there might be a little hidden of that spunky, creative little free-spirited little yellow in there that they've suppressed with the tan. So this is what's tricky about taking the quiz. When I tell people take the quiz, make sure you answer deep down inside who you feel you really are, not what you think you're supposed to be or what you've been raised to be or what society tells you you're supposed to be. So this person, she may be a real blue tan, in which case that's a very down-to-earth, supportive, loving, kind, happy at home, security, do my job, be at home. I just want love. I want a loyal partner that we're going to be together forever, forever, forever. She may be a blue tan. She may be a blue yellow or another color that has learned how to do the tan.
All right.
Now we got a quick question from the chat room, and it's an interesting one. And I don't know if you see them or not, do spirits have aura colors?
Yes, they do. Well, here's the deal. When you say spirit, so I talk to people on the other side all the time. I'm not just psychic, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, whatever. I also can talk to people on the other side. And if people have been here in physical form before and they've crossed over and they're talking to a loved one here, they will show me the aura colors that they were when they were here. It's like, oh, yeah, Aunt Mary was a blue. She's a blue right there. I can see her. She's still showing me blue. And she may keep that blue over there for a while. She has free will. She could change it. She could change it to pure white if she wanted to, because I do see that in the spiritual realm. She could start doing yellow things over there if she wanted to. They have free will, just like we have here. Now, I've seen, if you want to call them spirits, being, consciousness over there, they don't have colors to their aura because they've never been physical before. They've always been pure spirit or consciousness, and they've never embodied as a human. Waiting for someone to ask if animals have auras, because I usually get that one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that they do, right?
They do. They do. Here's the interesting thing, though. And I stopped doing readings about the aura colors of animals because pet owners would get upset, and this is why. With the exception of dolphins, and when I've worked with dolphins, and I've done that quite a bit, dolphins have the same aura colors as people. I've seen crystal dolphins and blue dolphins and yellow-violet dolphins, very advanced beings. The rest of the animals, the cats, the dogs, the lions, the elephants, well, I don't know about elephants. I haven't been around elephants enough to really check that out. They're very advanced, too, and probably whales, too. Animals usually either have a silver-blue aura, which means they believe that they're an animal, and they're fine being an animal. My cat, when I had my cat, he was definitely silver-blue. He was just hunky-dory fine being a cat, okay? Other animals have a golden yellow aura, in which case they believe they're a person, and they're getting ready to manifest as a person, to incarnate as a person. And most people go, oh, I think my pet's a golden yellow, and I go, okay, because they kind of project that onto them. So, like I said, I stopped telling people, no, your pet's really a blue silver. No, they act just like a person. So anyway, if a golden yellow, because they're kind of advanced beings. They're not like animals at all. They're very like Zen, like little Buddhas running around, little Yodas running around with a real high level of consciousness.
Yeah. And one more question here, which is kind of a fascinating one, and I think it probably works off of any sort of trauma. If you've ever been around anybody who claims to be an alien abductee, and if they have a different type of aura.
Well, everyone I've seen has had the same aura colors that I've seen, whether they've been an abductee or have had trauma or whatever. I will say this. I do see when people have had trauma, and that can be anything from childhood, whether they were physically, mentally, or emotionally rejected, abandoned, abused, or they had a life-threatening situation. I've seen red show up in their outer bands. It's what I call a red overlay. And people are not usually born with red overlays unless they had trauma in the womb. It's put on in childhood typically, not always. It can be put on later in life. It's put on for protection because red is a much denser vibration. It's stronger. So the person puts it on for protection. But what it turns into, which is wise when they're young, but as they get older, they need to get it off because it turns into either self-sabotage, and then the person always feels like they're in a cage, they can't get anywhere, they're in a sand pit, and no matter what, they keep sliding backwards. Or it can turn into a lot of anger. So a lot of self-sabotage. When I've seen people in prison, there's a lot of red overlays. When I've seen people in mental health clinics, a lot of red overlays. When I've gone to places like AA meetings to work with people there, mostly yellows, but a lot of them red overlays. That shows me someone from in their life had a major trauma. Now, I've even seen people who have been in life-threatening car accidents or operations, and then they develop red overlay. Steve Jobs had a red overlay. John Lennon had a red overlay. You see what happened to those people? Red overlays are not a healthy thing to carry around because for a yellow, it sabotages their health. For a violet, it can sabotage their mission here, their big purpose for coming here. For a blue, it sabotages relationships. For a green, it sabotages their money. So it can sabotage them, but it can turn into a health issue. So there are ways, and I wrote about it in my book, and I've got a meditation on my website that can help people let go of a red overlay. But someone will not let go of that if they don't feel safe here because it's put on for protection. But it's an unhealthy thing to carry around with you long term. So if somebody's had the trauma of being an abductee, there's probably a red overlay in their life, in their outer bands. I have not seen, and I have talked to people who have been abductees, I haven't seen their life colors change. It doesn't change who they are. It just shows trauma in the outer bands.
We got one more you can do kind of quick before we go to break. And Christy in the chat room said she broke down and finally took the quiz, and she's a crystal yellow.
Crystal yellow. Well, there's a healer. Boy, has Christy got a stubborn streak to her, though. So she's a crystal yellow. She might be a blue yellow with crystal, with yellow. I mean, a blue yellow who's added crystal, or I might just be seeing that blue in there because she's put it in with the crystal. But those are healers. She's more independent. If she's got that crystal in there, I can feel that, don't tell me what to do, and I'm independent, and I don't feel like I fit in. I'm different. But if she's doing her healing work or doing something creative like writing, getting messages out, because crystals are spiritual people, then that's an unusual combination too.
Wow. All right. I think it's about time to do our last break. Barbara, you got any quick thing before we take off?
I noticed a comment that the crystal yellow is now retired, so it was an interesting choice answering the job part of the questionnaire. So does retirement make a manifestation after you feel like you've done your job, so to speak?
Possibly. A lot of times retirement can either set a person free and they get to start doing their real colors, or they can shift into more of a yellow, which is like, oh, good, I worked really hard, now I can go play or relax or do what I want. So everybody's different. So does retirement affect the life colors? Not usually. It may make a person less motivated to do their life colors if they can chill now.
Okay.
All right. Jeff, you still with us in? Maybe. All right.
Be psychic. I know he's there. I can feel him.
His mic is muted.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So okay. Barbara gets to take us out. How's that sound?
Twice in the night. Okay, folks, go ahead. Jeff?
Oh.
Maybe? Apparently not. Okie dokie, folks. You are listening to the Paranormal View here on the ParaX Radio Network with our very special guest, author Pamala Oslie and Oracolors. We will be right back after a short message.
ParaX Radio, programming for the open mind.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Paranormal View here on the ParaX Radio Network. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Hope everyone's enjoying the show. And we do have Jeff with us, but he can't talk right now because his sound is all garbled up and messed up, but he can hear us. So at least he's listening and taking notes, and he's here with us. So we do have Barbara Duncan with us.
Still here.
And we have Pam Oslie with us.
Or maybe we don't.
Or maybe we don't.
Wouldn't that be funny if I said, no, I'm not really here?
I'm not here. That's happened before.
I wanted to add, too, really quickly, because, of course, I'm not talking enough already. One of the other reasons it's important for people to understand the aura colors is if they're raising children or if they work with children, because each of the different personality types, children have a different way they connect. Like, for example, yellows are fidgety. They have a hard time sitting still. They're always moving around and antsy. And what people do, they get accused of being ADD a lot or ADHD. And the worst thing you do to a yellow is put them on drugs, because yellows are already addictive personalities. Plus, it makes them feel like something's wrong with them. So what you want to do for a yellow is get them out there running the track or doing exercise or cleaning the chalkboard or running errands for you, or doodling. If a yellow can sit there and doodle, at least there's movement going on, so they can sit still more. They need movement. So it's really helpful for parents and teachers to understand the aura colors of the kids so they know how to reach them or to speak their language.
That leads into another listener question, and it's a very good one. And that is, well, it's an astrologer's quandary, too, where you have two children born on the same day at the same time. One's destined to be king and the other is a pauper. If two people are born with blue colors and they each have their own environment growing up to manifest and manifest their color life program. Mm-hmm. How is the environment fitting into their life colors?
Well, even if they have the same environment, each color still has, each person, each soul still has their own unique life purpose. So, for example, even if you have two blues born into the same family, one of them may end up being a teacher and really knows they want to be a teacher. So they're still blue, same family, same environment, they want to be a teacher. And then the other blue wants to become a therapist, or a child psychologist or something, so they go off. So they're still both blues, they've still been raised by the same family, and they go off and do two different careers or have two different personalities. Or yellows are a really good example, because yellows, like I said, can be fun-loving, fidgety, lots of energy, and it's like you can't get a yellow to sit still. It's like, get them in sports, get them out there playing. But then you could also have, in the same family, a very sensitive, quiet yellow that's very shy and very introverted, and so they don't want to go out and compete in sports because they're not competitive. They just want to be simple and quiet and read books and draw and do paintings or something like that. So same environment, but different soul purpose, same aura colors, just a different soul's plan. Mm-hmm. So it helps with the overall, just like, Sagittarians have a certain theme to them. They're this and this and this and this. It's still up to me how I'm going to play that out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, run with that. Or a lot of people don't live their life purposes. They get stuck in a box and up watching TV all day, or going to work, then coming home and watching TV, and they don't live their life purpose. And it could have something to do with environment. It could not. Violets, by the way, real quick, you tap open this faucet and all kinds of stuff. Violets are the number one aura color that chooses to come to this planet and chooses often to be born into dysfunctional situations. Abandonment, alcoholic, abuse, divorced family, very dysfunctional, because violets are here to help save the planet. So it's very common for violets or healers or therapists, any soul that came here to make a difference, very common for them to choose tougher childhood so that they can understand how people get messed up here, how they get hurt, how they get lost, how they don't believe in themselves. But their job then is to solve it is to come through it, and then they're the best healers, teachers, therapists, whatever on the planet, because then people believe them when they say, look, I've been there, I know what you're going through, and this is how I came through it. Then they trust them. Otherwise, can you imagine if a violet was born with a silver spoon in their mouths and ponies and wealth and everybody loved them, and then they came out and said, here, people, let me tell you how you need to do your life. People go, you don't know. You haven't gone through what we've gone through. So violets out of compassion will very commonly choose tough beginnings.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. They're also the number one color that gets sexually abused as children.
Wow.
Violets and yellows are the two, because yellows are healers and they're sensitive and sweet, so people are drawn to that innocence. And violets are the therapists and the people that came here to help save people, and subconsciously people are drawn to that because they do want to be saved or they want answers, but then they don't know how to handle it. So, phew, man, violets take on the bigger challenges than any of the other aura colors put together.
Okay, now I got another question from the chat room that's totally different. Nyla wants to know if you have ever had any alien encounters.
I have not. I know people that have. I totally believe, not only do I believe there's life in other solar systems, universes, realms, even things we can't see, the unseen, I totally believe. When people say, there's life on other planets or other galaxies, I go, I know, that's like telling me people live in France. I know that. It's not my thing in this lifetime. That's not my life path. So, no, I haven't. I've talked to beings on the other side that have never incarnated, so I guess that's kind of an ET, extraterrestrial, right? Not from other planets, but from other realms.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all still extraterrestrial. They're not of this earth.
Okay, you talk about a lot of color compatibility in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
What are the most harmonious colors that you can be linked with?
As long as they're in power, meaning the positive side, because again, each one of the colors has a side to them. Then if they go into the negative, they're going to have a rough time with any relationship, even if they have compatible aura colors. So some of the most compatibles are blues and yellows, because they're both very loving, very kind, very sweet. Blues are very nurturing, mother-like. They'll put up with anything, including the fun-loving little imp of a yellow that's like playful and I don't want to grow up. So blues and yellows are both kind. They're loving. They're people-oriented. They want to make people happy. So they're usually very compatible, very nice people. Blues and violets can be very compatible as long as the violet stays in power, because violets have a big mission, a big thing that they want to really accomplish here. And blues can be some of the most loving, supportive people on the planet. They're not competitive with the violet. They, as long as the violet comes home, because sometimes violets are off traveling and being big celebrities and doing big things, and the blues back there going, wait, do you love me at all? Do I count? So they have to keep balanced. Crystals and blues are very compatible because, again, very loving, very kind, very sensitive. Tans with other tans are really good because they both want security and stability and practicality and save money and handle the details, so they get along great. You don't want to put, some of the tougher ones like violet and tan, those are opposite also, with tans being step 1, step 2, step 3, and they're more comfortable doing 1 to 10, 1 to 10. They like their same jobs. They like their practicality. They like to know what's coming. They don't like unpredictability, so they want stability. And violet is not exactly the epitome of stability when they go 150, let's go travel here, let's go buy this, let's go save the planet. And the tan's like, what are you talking about? I have a job. I can't just pick up and travel. So they're not always compatible. However, they can be very good for each other as long as they understand each other's their values, what they bring to the relationship. So tan can be the ground, the stability, the stabilizing force, and then violets can kind of shoot their rocket off of that and go, yay, I can do my big dreams because the tan is being stabilizing. Unfortunately, what happens a lot is tans will talk the violet out of it or say, that's not practical, we're not doing that. And so they can kind of trim the wings of a visionary violet, which can get a violet very depressed.
Wow. Which is very good. So, let's see, Barbara?
See, when I'm not talking, you don't know what to do you?
No.
It's like, oh my gosh, we don't even know what to say to her anymore.
No, I've got questions, but I don't want to hog everything.
Oh, yeah, you're hogging. Yeah, okay, your turn. You guys are so funny. Wait, am I getting paid for all this work? I don't think so. Now you guys get to talk. So funny.
Well, there's a discussion going on in the chat room, and it's important to bring up, and that is when colors don't understand other colors. And you were talking about violet and their need to go through some trauma in order to help others out of the pit.
Well, they don't need to. It's just common that they do. I don't think anybody has to go through trauma to have compassion. I've just noticed that's one of the things that's common for violets to do. Not all violets do that, or violets rise above it. Like, look at Oprah's childhood. That was very traumatic, but look what she did with it.
Yeah. But it's interesting that some people just, it's difficult for some colors to go, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't you be more like me? That's why one of the reasons I do this work, so that people aren't running around going, what is wrong with you? Why can't you be more like me? Why can't you do it the way I do it? And I go, well, because they're not like you. You know, you don't say that to a lavender. Once somebody understands a lavender or an indigo, instead of going, you guys need to be more like this and, you know, what, you get down to reality. No, they've got value in what they bring to this planet. The consciousness that they're adding here is valuable. Just like we need tans to get the technology things done, or get the practicality and the patience. The rest of the colors don't have the patience to take care of the details the way a tan does. The other colors glaze over. Or lavenders, they're supposed to help us keep our childlike imagination. They're supposed to help us, you know, imagine what other worlds could be or what other lifetimes could be. There's value in all of them. And so if we support that, we create a very colorful rainbow on the planet, a beautiful palette of painting. It would be so boring if there was a painting only using one color.
Now, at the risk of getting a little too dark and heavy here, what about the aura colors of the abusers? Is there a specific type?
Well, most of those colors in my 30-some years of doing this work have had red overlays. So that shows me that they've had trauma in their childhood, and they haven't healed it. So, and I'm sure you've noticed that most abusers have been abused. So I've seen red overlays do that very commonly because they don't know any better, or they're trying to heal, they're trying to figure it out. One of the colors that gets into depression a lot are violets. That is a common thing. If violets are not living their purpose here, if they're not doing something greater than themselves, and they feel like there's no hope, there's no way of doing it, they can get very dark, and they can be very destructive. Now, one of the most destructive or harsh physical colors that is the most physically abusive usually are reds. Reds, when they're angry, they will hit, punch, kick, shoot. I mean, because their way of solving things is physical. You take physical action. Now, that can be on a positive, like a lot of football players. Come on, team, let's go. Let's kick some backside, let's go. So they have that raw physical stamina to get things done. Or look at Sean Penn when the trauma happened, when the earthquake happened in Haiti. He's like, all right, we're going there. We are going to go there, and we're going to take care of this. He took physical action. But the downside of reds is they solve things a lot through their anger. So they're very physical, and they're very sexual. So they can be inappropriate physically and sexually. Seen that a lot. I haven't seen a lot of sexual abuse from oranges or magentas. They're not usually interested in that. Yellows are, again, more physical so that they can want to connect with people physically, but typically if I've seen a yellow be abusive, because they're such nice people usually, even though they're stubborn, they're still sweethearts. If a yellow is sexually abusive, it's because they have a red overlay. They've been traumatized as a child. They've probably been abused themselves. And so then the only way they know how to connect with somebody is physically. Greens and violets are usually more mentally and verbally abusive. Greens and violets both more verbally abusive. They're more critical and harsh.
I'm glad I'm not none of those.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's like putting people in prison. It's like, you guys, you need to get to the core of what caused their trauma and their unhappiness. Anger always stems from hurt and fear. So if somebody's angry, they're scared or they've been hurt. So you want to get to the bottom of that to heal it so that they're safer to be around. Now they're not going to take it out on other people. Most people that are physically or sexually abusive are actually trying to heal something or trying to get a physical connection. And I'm not condoning it, believe me. Okay, I've seen my share of that. It's not condoning, it's that I understand the core and the source of it, and that's what we need to fix. That's what we need to heal.
So what are love color combinations? I mean, if I'm a yellow, blue, what would I be compatible with?
A yellow-blue, they're very compatible with other blue yellows. Ellen DeGeneres and Portia are both blue yellows. They're really compatible. Blues love love and loyalty. Yellows like to play and laugh and be creative. Blue yellows are also compatible with yellow violets because both blues and violets are compassionate. They want to help people. Violets just need to reach the masses, where blues are okay doing one-on-one. And yellows can play together, or they can be creative together. So those are compatible. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Somebody's a crystal yellow. They would probably be compatible with the crystal blue because crystals, that's great. Yellows together can be fun. The only issue is if you get two people that they're predominantly out of power yellow, then they're going to have a lot of problem with either playing house and nobody's making any money. They're just having fun. They're playing all the time, but nobody's making any money. And you probably got a couple that's sitting around smoking pot together. So they're not getting or doing meth together because out of power, they're just like, yeah, man, let's smoke some pot and watch TV. Okay, that's cool. I go, wait, who's paying the bills?
Yeah.
So they're compatible when they're in power. When they're out of power, they might still be compatible, but maybe not healthy because now nobody's getting them out of that unhealthy behavior.
So would they be compatible with a yellow lavender?
Well, see, no, again, a yellow lavender, that is the epitome of childlike creativity, unless those colors are healthy. Like when a yellow's in power, they have enough creative energy and physical energy and life energy to get things done. They'll keep going and going and going and moving things and getting this done and creating projects. And so if they're healthy, then yellow lavender, that could be okay. My concern of putting two lavenders in the same household, you could end up with a money issue. You know, they're really good at fantasizing, or they could do creative projects together, but then who's going to do the business to get those creative projects out there? Because neither of those colors, yellows and lavenders, don't like to do business. They're not salespeople. They're not marketing people. Not yellow lavenders. Like, okay, we created something now. Is somebody going to sell this for us? they're creative, but they're very cute. But they could have
so
money.
when you consider two people that are, say, out of power, and they in a relationship, I was thinking of somebody like F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. And their lifestyle just seemed to disintegrate both of them.
I don't know them well enough to know what their aura colors are, but in line with that, I can give you this example. The Beatles were all violet yellows. Okay, all violet yellows. You get violets together. Spielberg and George Lucas are also yellow violet. You get yellow violets together, violet yellows, whatever. It doesn't matter the order. It just matters which one they're doing more of. You get violet yellows together, and they're like, wow, can they create some amazing, outrageous, life-changing, world-changing, global-changing projects together that really reach the masses so they can be compatible. And here's where they can glitch. Violets need their own spotlight. Violets have to do their own projects, so they need to either be in alignment with a partner that's going to do that project with them, and they're on the same page and they agree. But as soon as two violets have a different vision, and one violet wants to do this and the other violet wants to do this, now we got a problem, which is why the Beatles broke up. They started having their own visions and they needed their own spotlight. Sonny and Cher are both violet yellows, or were. Now, two good violet yellows that are making it work right now because they're supportive of each other and they're on the same page with the same projects and the same passions are George Clooney and Amal. They're both violet yellows. So, George was running around with some blue yellows, the cute little starlets, the sweet little, they're cute, they're pretty. Other blue yellows are like Kate Hudson, Goldie Hawn, Meg Ryan, Ellen DeGeneres. They're the girl next door. They're really sweet. George was hanging out with blue yellows, which are normally compatible, but violets can get bored with all that sweetness. They want an equal. Violets want someone they can connect with and communicate with and fly with like hawks and eagles and create these life transformational projects. And that's what George, he finally met his soulmate. He finally met his partner because she's another empowered violet yellow.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Yes.
It's fun to know people's aura colors, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can figure out, how they got where they are. Like I was bringing up Elon Musk because here's a person who was really wealthy, but he's doing these incredibly odd things.
Yeah. Well, violets get accused of being unrealistic dreamers, and they get bored if violets can't just do the same thing that everybody's doing in the box. They got to go outside the box. Okay? They're the ones that create the new things. They push the boundaries. They go outside the box. So even Spielberg, George Lucas, look at what Lucas did with Star Wars. That was so outside the box.
Oh, yeah.
But it was ahead of its time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where Elon gets into trouble is when he does those out of power yellow, I think I'll smoke some pot on on social media. It's like, okay, well, and yellows, they don't like being told what to do. So you can't tell a yellow what to do. He's like, hey, I got money, you can't tell me what to do. But the space exploration, that is a violet thing. Violets tend to be more cosmic, or violets go, we don't know everything, Violets know that there's probably life on other planets, life beyond the stars, maybe beings on the other, in other realms, or violets. The violets just think outside the box usually, and they have to, otherwise they get bored. If they sit in that box too much, do they get bored. They have to keep growing and learning, and I swear to you, violets outgrow things. So if you're a violet out there and you've got a great career, and you're a social worker or you're a therapist and you're seeing one person at a time, and all of a sudden you go, I'm so bored. I need to reach groups, or I need to be on the radio, or I need to write a book. I go, yep, you're being a violet. They need more projects.
Wow.
Okay, now I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but politics, because it looks like we're going into two different types of politicians these days. It seems to me that there's the visionaries, and there's the ultra conservatives. So are we going into a violet versus, say, a green type of politics these days?
This is the first time since I've been doing this work that I couldn't predict something to save my life. I've always known who was supposed to win, right? But here's the deal. Gorbachev was a violet. Do you see how during his realm the wall came down?
Yeah.
He was very humanitarian, very much we got to work together, we're a team. He was very violet. And then after Gorbachev, they got Yeltsin in there, who's a green-yellow. Drinker, alcoholic, caused all kinds of problems, right? It's like, you guys, what were you thinking? But it's almost like they had to go back to what they thought was familiar or something. So, and again, I don't want to upset anybody. I'm not political. It used to be, and it's not anymore, it used to be that the Democratic Party was usually violet, the humanitarians, social work, take care of people, visionary peace on the planet, take care of the environment, right? And it used to be that the Republican Party was green, business, money, independent, that kind of stuff. But now I'm looking at people in both parties that are greens and both parties that are violets, and they go, well, here's the deal. We're in a state of change because we've been wanting things to be higher consciousness. We are ready to go to a whole new level on this planet. So we are going through birthing pangs right now, okay? And anytime there's change, chaos is involved first. Anytime the status quo gets changed, there's chaos. Now, in alignment with that, I can tell you this. Number one, the U.S. is a teenage country. Europe is so much older than we are. A lot of the other countries are so much older. The United States is a teenage country, and we know what kind of trouble teenagers can get into. They think they know everything, and they make mistakes, right? But in addition to that, you guys, I find this so interesting. This country was founded as a yellow-violet country. All the founding fathers, Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, they're all yellow violets. Violets want freedom. They want change. They want things different. They want to improve the quality of life. But big thing for violets, number one, is freedom to do what they're here to do, right? Yellows want to play. Yellows hands. Look at how much play we got out there. We've got our boats and our skis and our volleyball and baseball. Yellows want to play. So it was founded as a yellow-violet country. Now what's happened is this country has been trained to believe it's supposed to be tan and blue. Tans are get a job, get the paycheck, have your home, get your mortgage, security, stability. A lot of them are factory workers. Follow the same rules, get the paycheck. And blues are spiritual. A lot of times blues can also be religious. So blues are the rescue, go to church, help other people, charity work, volunteer. So, in God we trust. It's very blue. Do you understand? Either spiritual or religious or whatever you want to say. So this country thinks it's supposed to be a tan blue, and it's not. And guess what's happening right now? That yellow-violet is kicking up like crazy, going, something is broken here. So all the old structures that basically were put in place, like for tan structure, stability, here's the system, here's the structure, it's all getting shaken up so that people start looking at their spirituality, at something bigger, at who we really are on the global scene, because that's violet is global and cosmic, as opposed to just our little safe little country that manufactures. We're not supposed to be the manufacturers anymore, you guys. Those are supposed to be for the other countries where they're still developing. We're supposed to be the innovators, the creative visionaries that innovate, which is why so much of the innovative tech stuff was here. It's just like the music scene, San Francisco, now the tech stuff, which is Steve Jobs, violet yellow. We're supposed to be the innovators, not the little factory workers, not the little employees. Does that make sense? Not putting that down because we need all that, but that's not supposed to be our focus. We're not a tan blue country.
So countries, cities they have horoscopes, they can have colors as well.
That's right. Like England is violet tan, so violet, how they kind of rule the world. See how the monarchy, they ruled all these other countries, and tans are very stoic and stiff upper lip and, down to earth. Germany's very green, money, let's go, innovation, get those fast cars out there. Japan's very green. Mexico's very yellow, take it easy, slow. And again, it's not the people, it's just the energy. Arizona's yellow tan, Colorado's yellow tan. California, Northern California is mostly violet with yellow. San Francisco's got violet with green. Southern California is very yellow. It's like, hey, dude, let's go out surfing, let's go to the beach, right? So different countries, trying to think, Spain, Italy, they're all yellow violets. Africa is violet yellow. Yeah, all the countries have colors. I think Sweden is a blue yellow. Ireland's blue yellow.
Okay.
Wow.
That makes sense.
And people that have those colors are drawn there. Like New York is green. New York City is very green. A lot of greens and what's green with violet, because we've got Wall Street there and we've got Broadway there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's green for the finance and it's Broadway for the entertainment business. And so a lot of greens or violets are drawn to New York. A lot of yellows don't do well in New York. It's too green. It's too driven. And yellows usually like warmer climates and sunshine and nature, so they don't always do well in big cities.
Wow.
Oh, no, it makes total
stuff,
sense.
Huh, guys?
No, our time's just shooting right on by here. Wow. We're down to about 10 minutes. So if anybody in the chat room still has a question, you can send it to either H. Foister or Ceiling Cat quickly, and we will try and get those answered for you. So, Barbara, go ahead.
Well, we have one person in the chat room. The chat room is basically going nuts talking about what we were discussing before, which is life purpose, and how do we decide what we're coming back as? And do you feel it's a conscious decision to come back?
I do. Now, okay, so I'm going to play a little game with all of you guys and your listeners right now, okay? So right now, see something in the room. I don't care if it's a lamp, a plant, a chair. See something in the room and focus on that and hold your thumb about 6 to 8 inches away from your eyes and block that item with your thumb, okay? Now, only look at it with your right eye. Okay, now only look at it with your left eye. Okay, go back to just looking at it with your right eye. Now your left eye. Do you see how it changed? That item changed on one side of your thumb or the other? Right? It was either on the left side or the right side. It changed position just based on which eye you were looking at it with, right?
Right.
Now, if your two eyes, which are on your same body with your same brain, can't even agree on where that item is in space, how do you expect anybody else on this planet to have the same perception, the same beliefs, the same idea of reality that you do if they're on different bodies? So I absolutely respect people's journey here, their life purpose, the way they see life, their experiences here. We're all unique. So when I share my experiences, this is my experiences. I do this to empower, inspire, educate, give people, another version of reality, but I'm certainly not telling people they have to believe what I believe, okay? So in my experience of doing this for as long as I have, and my whole life has been a spiritual exploration, plus I study quantum physics, and I talk to people on the other side, and I have lots of friends and clients who have had near-death experiences. Yes, I believe before you came here, I believe we have free will. I don't believe we're victims on any level, that we have free will. We chose to come to this planet for the experience, to learn something, to have the experience of being physical, to see people that we saw, that we knew from other lives, whatever it is. It's kind of the same reason we go to the movies. We came here to have experiences, to grow, to recognize, to learn that our thoughts and our beliefs create our reality. And doing it in physical form is a little denser, but we want to taste ice cream and be in the water and go on merry-go-rounds or ride horses or watch movies. We want to have the experience of being physical. And unfortunately, we get here and we get lost in the movie, and then we start struggling, we start believing that the movies are real. Have you ever, when people go, I wouldn't have chosen this lifetime, I go, a lot of people go to horror movies, they go to war movies, they go to dramas. It's like, those are not the kind of movies I enjoy. I won't go to those movies. But people do. They like the adrenaline rush of, mystery movies or scary or chase scenes or bang, bang, shoot 'em up. It's like, yeah, okay. They like those. They want the adrenaline rush or how it feels or, what it brings up with them. It's the same reason we came to the planet. So, and maybe you came here to help other people or to experience love or to learn how to heal people or to learn how to be a dancer or to learn how to, have the physical experience of moving boulders or driving trucks. It's like, whatever you came here to do, man, have a good time with it. And do I believe that we have other lives? Absolutely I do. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't like hearing this, but there's no such thing as time on the other side. So all those lives are happening simultaneously. Just because we experience life sequentially, and that's how we talk and that's how we think, that doesn't mean that all these lives are strung together like one after another. They are all happening at the same time. And I know that from experience. I know that from talking to people on the other side, and I know that from talking to people who have had near-death experiences. They've all said they got out of their body, they were on the other side, and they saw all of their lives, all of their incarnations happening simultaneously. They were still going on. It makes sense to me. You can't contain how big our soul is in one little body in one little lifetime. We're massive, divine, amazing souls that like to have experiences. We're curious, fun-loving, adventurous souls. So we have a lot of different experiences.
Wow.
Makes total sense.
So do you think that how do we know if this is only our first time ever being here, or have we been here before?
Well, first of all, if people get really quiet and they go deep down inside and they ask their souls, they'll hear the answer. They'll know the answer. And some souls really are. They come here and go, wow, this is a weird thing, and I've been on other planets or I've been in other realms, but not this planet. This one feels alien to me. Some people just know that. Other people, like Violets, they get here and go, oh no, not again. It's really dense down here. It's really hard, a lot of suffering here. I go, well, why'd you come back again? Because you came here to help make a difference, to help people have better lives, to educate them on what you know inside or what you've learned from other lifetimes or what you're going to learn from this one. So here's my bottom line of what I say to people. I totally trust your soul knows exactly what it's doing. Even if you feel like your ego doesn't or your personality, your soul knows exactly what it's doing. So if you listen to your soul, you are going to have an amazing adventure here. Okay, and some people like roller coaster rides. That's a little scary, but some people like that, right? So if you listen to your soul, you'll know if you're fulfilling your life purpose. You'll know if you've been on this plane before, or if this is new for you, or if you're from other planets or whatever. But, well, we're not from other planets. We're from consciousness. We're from all that is. We may have had other experiences on other planets, but people just know. They know. And you don't need to let anyone else tell you that what you sense deep down inside is crazy or you're wrong or prove it. You don't need to know that. You know it. It's really okay. Trust your own soul.
Wow.
Did I blow you guys all
I
out?
like that sentiment.
No.
No, I like that sentiment. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
People know.
Sherry posted in the chat room that I was a female in my last life.
Probably was. We've been
Or a
everything.
cowboy.
We've tried male, female, gay, straight. We've tried we're trying everything. We want the experience. We're fun.
Wow.
And we want to grow. We want to evolve. It's like, oh, I wonder what it feels like to be poor. Oh, I wonder what it feels like to be really rich. Oh, I wonder if I'd be a good guy or a bad guy. We're curious, and we evolve that way. We want to grow and expand. We expand all that is that way, too. The more experiences we have, the more we expand the entire consciousness of the universe. So if you learn something, if you get something that's evolutionary, it ripples out and affects all of us.
Well, our time has just dwindled down. Like we got about a minute and a half. I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. Very, very interesting. Everybody in the chat room just loved you. What I want you to do is give out all your sites where people can follow you, where people can, if they really want a reading, how to contact you, and everything about what they can do.
Okay. Everything is on my website, auracolors.com, A-U-R-A colors.com. I also have Facebook. I've got Twitter. I've got Instagram. All you got to do is put my name in, or Aura Colors. You should be able to find me that way. But auracolors.com, that's my site. A-U-R-A Colors, American version, C-O-L-O-R-S, not the British version. And then you'll be able to contact me, have a reading, find out about readings if you want. do some of my e-courses, listen to my radio shows, watch the free videos about your aura colors. I got everything on there. Learn how to do this yourself. Learn how to be psychic. I teach all that stuff.
And all your books. They can order them from there.
Yes, all my books are on there too.
All right. Well, I want you to stay on till we're off, and we'll thank you. And again, I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Appreciate it, and hope you enjoyed the show. This is Henry Foister.
Jeffrey Gould.
And Barbara Duncan.
So good night, everybody. You've been listening to the Paranormal View on the ParaX Radio Network. Join us again next week at the same time for more of the Paranormal View.